Donald Trump truly seems to have a knack for losing. After being thoroughly defeated by Democrats on Tuesday, he's now turning his fire on members of his own party. Trump has launched a battle against Senate Republicans, and it's not one he's winning. The loudest voice pushing back against him right now is none other than Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is openly declaring political war on Trump. In a new report and a CNN appearance, she sharply criticized his administration, marking a major split within the GOP. This internal feud is something to behold. But before we dive into the latest reporting on Greene's dramatic break with Trump, a quick reminder. Please take a second to like this video and subscribe if you enjoy our coverage. It really helps support what we do. Now, let's start with Greene's remarks on CNN, which set the stage for everything that followed, including her comments about the Epstein files.
For more transparency around the Epstein files. You even told us last month that you're concerned about threats because you want to expose some of the people in power who were on Jeffrey Epstein, who was part of Jeffrey Epstein's ring. According to the survivors, there's a list of men they haven't released yet. You said you're willing to read that list on the House floor. What more can you tell us about that and the names?
Oh, I told the lovely women that I met that are victims of Jeffrey Epstein, they also say they are victims of another group of men, one that they're afraid to list publicly, and I told them that I'd be happy to read that name on the House floor for them. There hasn't been any movement forward on that. Of course, that's up to those women and that's their decision. However, I remain steadfast in my belief is that all of this information should be released. No one should be protected. That's completely unfair. And I think it's a failure of administration that they never released it. No one has released this stuff. And so this is something that the American people are extremely angry about. I think it also played a part in Tuesday's election of why some people are just mad and they don't want to go vote, and it's not going away anytime soon.
Have you made your concerns about the Epstein files known to the president directly?
Yes, yes, I have. I don't share my personal conversations with the president, but I did express how important it is.
Now, while Marjorie Taylor Greene has been vocal in her criticism of this administration and a number of Republicans in Congress, especially amid the ongoing shutdown, I don't think we should mistake her for a serious or courageous figure. What she's doing is clearly part of a calculated political strategy. We'll get into that more shortly, along with AOC's response to this obvious maneuver. That said, I'll take it. And I think Democrats should find ways to take advantage of the divisions emerging within the GOP. However, we shouldn't start portraying Marjorie Taylor Greene as some kind of reasonable voice. Instead, we should point out that Republicans are finally waking up to issues we've been highlighting all along. Maybe now that it's politically convenient, they'll support releasing some of the Epstein files. But let's be clear, this is work Democrats have been pushing from the start. Greene might try to claim the spotlight for it, and that might play well with her base, but she's not getting credit from me. What I will appreciate, though, is her willingness to keep publicly going after Donald Trump, just like she did here.
Is there anything, though, you'd critique or do differently?
My critique is not being focused on America first, but I largely blame that on our Congress because I serve in the House. I also blame that on who's advising him in the White House. You know, keeping him on nonstop tours around the world and nonstop meetings with foreign countries' leaders is not America first. It's just not. I think domestic policy should be the most important issue that the president and the Republican-controlled House and Senate are working on, and that showed up in the election on Tuesday.
But as the president, does he get some responsibility for that?
Well, of course. I mean, every president is responsible for the way that they lead, but they're also in a silo of information. And I think that's why after the election on Tuesday, you saw President Trump come out and react differently Probably because they couldn't keep him siloed. And here's the polls, sir, and this is what people are saying. I think he saw for himself, and he's reacted.
It's very interesting.
Again, a valid criticism that Donald Trump is not America first. He's not. He's sending unnecessary billions to Argentina and Israel. He wants to start endless stupid wars. Donald Trump is not looking out for you when he launches his tariff campaign that ultimately raises prices on working people. Billionaires don't care. Their profits are still huge. The stock market is soaring because Donald Trump has artificially inflated the market. Like that's what's happening right now. Nothing is to our benefit. That is an accurate description of Donald Trump. But still, Marjorie, how are you America first? You're signing on to big tax cuts for billionaires. You're not helping out working people. You want to dismantle Obamacare, not expand health care access for working people. So I don't really believe Marjorie Taylor Greene. I believe that she's launching a very self-interested campaign. And it's a campaign against Donald Trump, who of course we know wants to run in 2028. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's got some other thoughts. Marjorie Taylor Greene reportedly gearing up for 2028 presidential run as a real MAGA Republican. Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to follow Donald Trump and become president of the United States. Greene, according to Wednesday report from Notice, is plotting a 2028 presidential run, with one source saying she believes she is real MAGA and that other Republicans have strayed. The report, based on 4 sources familiar with MTG's thinking, noted she is also trying to connect with a more national audience outside of the hardcore base. Yeah. That plan is destined to crash and burn. Marjorie Taylor Greene choosing this moment, when Republicans are more unpopular than they've ever been in the Trump era, to run under the banner of real MAGA is not the winning move she thinks it is. She claims she's taking the America First lane. But honestly, Democrats should be the ones owning that message. We are America first. We care about the well-being of the American people. That doesn't mean abandoning our allies like Ukraine or ignoring our global responsibilities. It means acting strategically, not just throwing billions at countries like Argentina to bail out Donald Trump's Wall Street friends, or funneling massive sums to Israel, a nation that already provides free healthcare, college, and childcare, while Americans go without those same basic supports. Now, Greene has turned her fire on Trump himself, essentially accusing him of not being truly MAGA. Why anyone would want to claim that title is beyond me. But let's not forget, J.D. Vance can't even hint at running for president without worrying about offending Trump and his delusional, lawless ambitions to rule indefinitely. Meanwhile, Greene's saying, "Why not? I'll run." There's a reason she's doing this right now. Why she's picking fights with Trump and clashing with her own party. I've been pointing to this brewing tension for a while, but no one summed it up more clearly than AOC.
Tea for you. MTG, people are like, oh my God, she's saying all of these things. Like, what's gotten into her lately? Oh, like she's bucking against Trump. She's bucking against the administration. Marjorie Taylor Greene wanted to run for Senate in Georgia. She wanted to run for Senate earlier this year in the state of Georgia. She wanted to be the Republican nominee for Senate. So she was gearing up for that statewide race, and Trump told her no. Trump said no. And the White House and Trump land shut down Marjorie Taylor Greene's personal ambitions to run for Senate. And she has been on a revenge tour ever since.
Marjorie Taylor Greene perfectly embodies how detached from reality this movement has become. She's a conspiracy theorist who blames the struggles of everyday Americans on some imaginary elite cabal she's dreamed up. Instead of recognizing that the real elites harming working people are billionaires like Elon Musk, Larry Ellison, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg, the very ones she's helped enrich through massive tax cuts. What AOC points out, and what's so crucial, is that Green, Nancy Mace, and other MAGA women completely fail to grasp that they will never be respected within the system they uphold. When they face backlash or feel undermined, they frame it as a personal attack. They're targeting me because I'm a MAGA woman, rather than seeing it for what it is, the inevitable product of a conservative ideology built on misogyny and inequality. They don't recognize that they're reinforcing the very structures that make it harder for them and for other women to advance. Instead of asking, maybe this ideology doesn't actually support women or equality, they cling to victimhood, insisting it's all about them individually. So no, Marjorie Taylor Greene isn't a champion for women. That idea is absurd. Nancy Mace isn't either. They're opportunists, exploiting legitimate grievances for political and personal gain. Yes, they're attacked within their own ranks for being women. But if they genuinely wanted to change that, they'd fight the misogynistic systems their own party sustains. They won't. And they don't deserve sympathy or to be taken seriously. Greene's recent comments on the suffering of Palestinians show her opportunism perfectly. While she's echoed language Democrats should be using to condemn what's happening in Gaza, her motivation isn't rooted in principle. It's political. She's an extremist and has a long record of bigotry, including anti-Semitic rhetoric. Now she's trying to twist legitimate criticism of the Israeli government and the apartheid conditions it enforces into something self-serving, just as Republicans often weaponize false claims of anti-Semitism to silence criticism of AIPAC, DMFI, and the influence of lobbying money in U.S. politics. We shouldn't fall for it. These figures are not acting in good faith. They're not allies, and they're not serious thinkers. What we should do is continue defeating their agenda. On that note, AOC, who we just heard from, recently shared some sharp insights about the latest election results, and they're well worth listening to.
Tell me who is keeping people dependent on SNAP, WIC, and EBT, but the people who are working for massive corporations in this country and trying to keep people's salaries as low as possible. Republicans are the ones who fight against working people from organizing and unionizing their workplaces. Tell me what party is gutting the FTC and allowing these corporations to become monopolies and continue to abuse everyday working people's power. So don't come to me about who is trying to keep people dependent on SNAP, WIC, and EBT, because it is actually Republicans who are doing everything in their power to keep you paid as little as possible that are increasing dependency on these programs. Now, the difference is that I don't believe people should die when that happens. That's the difference. So I believe that SNAP should exist. Yes. I believe WIC should exist. Yes. I believe Medicaid should exist. Because I think that when people are put in the most desperate positions in this country, that there should be a social contract. I think that's why we pay taxes. That's what I want my taxes to go to. When I pay taxes, I want that money to go to feeding people, educating people, healthcare, housing, not tax cuts for the very rich that are already profiting from keeping people poor. So I'm not going to be entertaining that conversation. People think that, Democrats want to keep people dependent on these systems. No, we don't. We don't want people relying on these systems, but that doesn't mean we don't want these systems to exist.
We can keep defeating these people. Plain and simple. And we're going to keep talking about it, pushing for it, and making it happen right here on this show. If you want to support that mission, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give this video a like. If you made it all the way to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments, and until next time, I will see you soon.